You grow up believing you can predict the path your life will take. You map out the important moments long before they happen. You imagine the smiles, the laughter, the perfect scenes you're sure will play out exactly as you hope. My baby shower was one of those imagined days. Sunlight poured through the windows of the little venue we'd rented, catching on the soft blue and yellow decorations. The room smelled sweet, cupcakes, lemonade, and fresh flowers. David, my husband, stayed close to me, his hand warm and reassuring on the small of my back as we drifted from group to group. I was 32 weeks along, glowing in a happiness so steady and peaceful I wanted to freeze the day and keep it forever. But life never lets calm water stay still for long. A single dropped pebble sends ripples everywhere. I was halfway through opening presents, surrounded by tiny outfits and plush toys. David knelt beside me, lifting each onesie to his chest like a proud comedian, guessing which of our friends the baby might resemble while wearing it. The room was full of chuckles. My mother was wiping tears from her eyes, overwhelmed with joy. It felt cinematic, almost unreal. And then, in one sharp, sudden moment, laughter in one corner stopped cold. Not faded, stopped. Like someone pressed mute on that part of the room. I looked up, still holding a pair of impossibly small socks. Mark, my ex. The man I'd spent 4 chaotic years with before finally rebuilding my life. The man whose shadow I thought I had completely stepped out of. He stood just inside the doorway, older, worn around the edges, clutching a poorly wrapped present. His eyes swept the room and locked onto mine. A hard knot twisted in my stomach. The room shifted into a heavy, buzzing silence. Confusion hung in the air like fog. My heart wasn't just racing, it was pounding wildly, almost painfully. How had he heard about the shower? Why was he here? David sensed the change instantly. His easy smile disappeared, replaced by steady alertness. He rose slowly, not flustered, not angry, just purposeful. His posture shifted from casual to protective in a single breath. He looked at Mark, then at me. A silent question. I gave the slightest shake of my head. No, I didn't invite him. I didn't want him there. That was all David needed. He moved forward with calm, controlled confidence, not aggression but something even more powerful. Guests instinctively stepped aside as he approached my ex. I held my breath. This was the instant where my past and present met, right in the middle of the life I was building. David stopped a few feet from Mark. The tension in the room was almost tangible. Mark. David's voice was low, even, carrying through the silence. Not a greeting, an acknowledgement. Mark shifted awkwardly, lifting the gift as if it could shield him. David, hey. I heard about the shower. Thought I'd stop by, congratulate you both. Bring something for the baby. David didn't look at the gift. His eyes stayed on Mark, steady as stone. That's considerate, he said, polite in a way that was far more intimidating than anger. But this is a private family event. You weren't invited. The blunt truth made Mark flinch. He forced a weak smile. Come on, man. We're adults. I just wanted to wish her well. You know, for old time's sake. Wrong words. David's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. For old time's sake, he repeated quietly, his tone dropping even lower. The old times are exactly why you're not part of this life anymore. He gestured to the room, to our friends and family, to me, to my pregnant belly. This day is about our family. Our future. You're not in that picture. You need to leave. Now. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Every word landed with finality. Mark looked past him at me, eyes silently begging for me to step in, to soften the blow. But seeing David there, so calm, so unwavering in his protection of me and our child, left no room in me for lingering sympathy. My past was just a ghost. And David was the barrier it could never cross. I met Mark's eyes and shook my head, firm and certain. He saw it. And whatever fight he had drained out of him. His shoulders sagged. He glanced down at the gift, something that suddenly looked painfully out of place. Okay, he whispered. Yeah, I get it. He turned and walked out. The door clicked softly behind him, a sound that felt like a chapter sealing shut. The room remained suspended in silence for a heartbeat longer. Then David turned back to me, not triumphant but resolute. He knelt beside me again and took my hands in his, warm and steady. You okay? He asked, voice soft again, full of nothing but concern. I nodded as tears filled my eyes, tears not of fear or sadness, but of overwhelming love and relief. In that single moment he hadn't just ushered out my ex. He had drawn a line around our family and stood there, immovable. Slowly the room came back to life. Conversations resumed. Laughter returned, a little sweeter, a little deeper. The celebration wasn't only about a baby anymore, it was about a bond strengthened in real time. Later that night, surrounded by open gifts and torn wrapping paper, I asked David how he stayed so composed. He pulled me close, hand resting where our baby kicked beneath my skin, and said, "There was nothing to get angry about. He's just a leftover from a life you don't live anymore." I just reminded him where the door was. And in that moment, I understood something about love that I hadn't before. It's not always grand gestures or dramatic scenes. Sometimes it's a quiet, steadfast strength. Sometimes it's a husband who meets a ghost from your past and calmly shows it the exit because your future, your family, matters more. My past showed up uninvited that day. But my husband made sure it knew it didn't have a seat at our table.